And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 112th episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm your host, Matty ALLin, with Tobiwan Hexobi and Brisology. Welcome.
Hey.
Thank you. What a week.
No, I know, right? Matty, how you holding up, dude? That's a lot of
Mr. Workaholic.
a lot of tap dancing.
I'm hanging in there.
That's good, dude. Crushing success, in my opinion. Actually, I would say one of my favorite, if not the favorite, conference you've had. It's like I think there was just so many good points in there by so many different people. I mean, even RH wasn't involved this time, but still, I thought it was fantastic.
Thank you.
Dude, it was so smooth.
Really?
I thought it was like all your transitions from one panel to the music to the next panel. Dude, I thought it was great. It was such a seamless. I couldn't even see the seams.
Crispy hated
it. Suck up.
Soggy man.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Crispy, yeah, hey,
did your chair get lowered or?
I've heard a lot of people say that they really enjoyed the content this year. And yeah, that's always a great thing to hear. Not until this afternoon did I actually have a confirmed number of speakers.
Oh, yeah.
After the event happened, because it was all so much in flux. And
in multiple appearances.
Yeah, I was really crossing my fingers because I kept saying that we had 100 speakers. But now I've actually published a list that proves that we had not just 100 speakers, but we had 101.
Nice.
And I want to thank all of them. I want to thank all of them here. Sweet. So everybody who appeared in the conference is on the screen here now. I took great care to go back and figure out what people's handles are on Twitter. So in most cases, this is the most up-to-date list of speakers that has ever existed in the history of Hex and Pulse Chain.
And the history of mankind itself.
Can you do me a favor and make that in alphabetical order? Just kidding.
No.
I'd like you to do it in reverse alphabetical order by topic.
This is in order of first appearance.
And Dewey Decimal.
Did you publish it on the blockchain?
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And I want to, I want to thank the conference. And I also updated the schedule, even though it seems like we already had a schedule, but the actual final schedule, here it is. So that is good. It's thanking all the sponsors that jumped on board and everybody who got a chance to speak in their particular order.
I just want to say regarding the schedule, I really messed up, and I almost messed up the entire conference. I read this thing completely wrong. As you can see on day 4, I'm the third box down. For some reason, I thought that meant I was on hour 3. So I thought I was talking at 7 p.m. So I'm out like driving about. I'm listening to Hexy Bastard. Oops. And not knowing that I was basically up next.
You were so square.
I walked into my house and then like Maddie sent me a message. She's like, "Hey, you're on next." I'm all, what? I'm like, oh man.
Oops.
But I think we made it just in time.
And that's part of what made it such a mad dash. Coordinating 101 people was trying to get everybody even like the heads up, like, hey, here's when you're speaking and that sort of thing. So in true fashion, it all happened somehow. I'm not really sure. And so again, I want to thank all the speakers that made this possible. And what we did this year that's new as well is if you spoke at the conference, you can send me a fresh wallet address. Maybe you already did. And you get to share part of the $10,000 that we raised to tip speakers, thanks to love.io and Pateus.io.
That's awesome.
I got a question about that, Maddie.
Please.
I don't want to be a wet blanket.
Well,
here we go.
But I'm also wondering if you tip the speakers, like I don't know, I just don't want to fall into the SEC trap of, hey, did you get paid to promote anything?
Well,
And
that's part of the
obviously,
nature of a tip, and part of like the whole setup here is that you couldn't have even known that this was going to happen, and so
true.
yeah, like me, like sharing what was gifted to the group of speakers like after the fact helps to emphasize that there are no expectations, and certainly the brands that have stepped forward here, they there are no strings attached.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that everyone spoke with zero expectations of receiving anything.
I had expectation of receiving crap.
Oh,
That's
boom.
for sure.
And
boom, I got it from Briz. Right?
Well, yeah,
so
guaranteed.
one of the other things that'll roll out this week to the speakers is this new version of pulse.domains. People they're always saying, well, what is it on Pulse Chain that's better than on Ethereum? Well, not only have we forked the Ethereum name service that gives you the names like Maddie.pls is one that I have, but now the conference has created a sub DAO called tips.pls, and so we can issue for free to all the speakers a subdomain, and that'll be good for 10 years. And all of the updates that they've created on Pulse domains makes it so that it's way more of an interactive link tree than you've ever seen on the blockchain before. Sure, Ethereum name service, they also have the ability to sign something that's like, hey, this is my YouTube channel, this is my Twitter. But what Pulse Domains has allowed is they're going to make it so that you can do a super chat on Twitter and it'll show up in StreamYard. Okay, so like this is all running through Pulse Chain, and
wow.
Sweet.
I guess we'll have to show it off to prove it, but they have done a major update to their front end that took like months and months. I know I was, kind of like giving advice along the way of like what the features would look like. And yeah, they crushed it. They knocked it out of the park. And this is something that we'll see, I think, in the next week, rolling out to all the speakers. You'll get a chance to be able to sign with your private key to say like, this is my real Twitter, this is my real YouTube, this is my real link. And that's something that should create a certain amount of trust, that isn't possible today with all the AI fakes and hackers and stuff like that. But if they don't have your private key, they can't post. They can't post as you.
Hey, can I throw something to you and your audience here on this topic?
Please.
So you may or may not know that some people, just like with the early .com days, and people went and grabbed domain names and sat on them.
Waters.
Yeah, and it's part of the game. This is DeFi and all this other stuff, right? Well, the Atropa dev seemed to be not in sync with what was happening with .pls. And so somebody got Atropa.pls, and it would be a wonderful thing if somehow we figured out, I'm not talking about monetarily, but figured out how that person might donate that Atropa.pls over to you, Maddie, and we could deliver it over to Maria.
Oh, they could send it straight away.
Or they could do it themselves or whatever. But that's one thing I wanted to hit on. If anybody knows and they have that person, please, it'd be pretty good. I listen to a lot of people, even with the party stuff, the party token stuff and the party domains or group names. It's unfortunate when someone grabs a brand.
You want to know what I did? So, right when Pulse Domains launched, it was like a couple days later. I was like, oh, I should probably reserve Hex Conference.
You got a Tropa.pulse?
No, But somebody else got hexconference.pls, and I had no way of knowing who it was, except I did chain analysis, and I saw that the first name that they ever registered was cobbscorner.pls. So I went on Twitter and I said, is there any user named Cobb's Corner? Sure enough, there was. And I messaged him and he was like, hey, let me donate this address to you because I'm such a nice guy.
Because you got caught.
That's what he did.
No, man, Bruce, that's you. That's you. That's how you think. There are people who really do think altruistically like that and would be like, hey, you know, Maddie didn't grab this. Like somebody did that for me. And they were like, Crispy didn't grab this one, so let me grab it. And then he contacted me later, said, I'll send it over to you. So it's, you know, it's very possible, right? That something is just somebody doing that, not necessarily for profit. Bruce.
FYI, I do not own Brisology.pls. Someone does. It's a Tang Gang person because I saw them have a bunch of other Tangy.pls.
Sure it wasn't me.
The reason why this experiment with the speakers DAO is also like so cool is that, you know, maybe your dream address isn't brisology.tips.pls. Maybe it is, but this is an example of where nobody can take brisology.tips.pls because I control tips.pls. And so we can, you know, like as a decentralized community, we can create like subdomains. And then because of the pulse domains technology, because it's real crypto and real DeFi, it actually allows you to immutably burn certain fuses within the system. So like, for example, I can make it so that if I issue brisology.tips.pls and I send it to his address, I can never recall it back. There's an actual transaction you have to run in order to make that possible. But I can make it so that there's no takebacks, basically. And
that's pretty
that's
cool.
really cool. That's what crypto is all about, is like self-sovereignty and that sort of thing.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Pretty cool.
maybe like if the atropa.pls domain name never gets returned and somebody reserves it for 99 years, then we can just you know, create like a different subdomain that they like or whatever.
That covers it, yeah. Hey, you know, on the conference, I sent you a quick note. So first, congratulations. I mean, a lot of hard work that you put into it. I know you were the one that
Thanks.
did the majority of the work. I mean, all of us participated and helped, of course, to our extent, but a lot of work on your part and resounding success, right? Lots of really positive comments from most people. I have a question for you though about this. Do you have any plans for a after conference survey? Because this is one of the things that I've always found to be most useful with events is doing that type of a survey, because it surfaces the rough edges and you know, usually some pretty good ideas for the future.
I know when I have speakers sign up, I always ask them what their feedback is. So yeah, that'd be one possibility, would be to get everybody to fill it out again. That same question that I asked a couple months ago. Yeah, and I guess even if people don't give me their feedback this time, you know, it's not going to be too long until November, and people are signing up for the Hex conference, and they can tell me what they would like different.
Yeah, because, you know, and I say it that way because we all gotta be super sensitive that, you know, sometimes, I don't think you're like this, but the psychology of feedback, a lot of people don't take feedback very well. I mean, you know, it's it can be tough, you know, to hear, hey, I would have done this differently, because inherently sends this message you were wrong, but you're not wrong. It's just that you did something different, and it doesn't mean the other person's right. But I think that'd be pretty good. I think all the big events I've ever been on, in fact, most of them try to keep you from leaving the building before you filled out the survey. Like you had to fill out the survey. Right?
Oh yeah.
You know?
those silly conferences. Yeah, and then they want you to sign up for the next one
Well, that too, of course. Yeah.
before it's even over. Noted. Yeah, thank you for the suggestion to take suggestions. It's very meta of you.
That's my suggestions
yeah.
for the suggestion.
And I also want to highlight while we're wrapping up on the conference topic that we've, for the first time ever in Hex and Pulse Chain history, we've had every single talk has been segmented here and uploaded onto Twitter. So you can see here, there was a talk from Johnny Chaos on day 3, hour 4. And so every single person who spoke at the conference will eventually have their own post here on the Twitter account for the Pulse Chain Conference, Pulse Chain Conf on X. And I think that I'm excited about that. That's something that's been different this year, that I think adds a lot of value because it creates more access to the content.
With that
This is trailing by about a day. And so like we still haven't had the posts for day 4 because day 4 was just yesterday. I can tell you that there are some bonus videos that are going in here that weren't even included in the original conference, including Liquid Loans' big announcement has not been made yet. And I'm expecting that in the next day to where that bonus content will be uploaded here. And so definitely check out the Pulse Chain Conference Twitter to see all of this content and to be able to share it and like it and show the social proof that we're all in this together.
With that haircut, that looks like P Johnny Chaos.
He's looking good.
Confused. Maddie, my talk with the RH Max and who else was on with me? RH Max and it got substituted last minute.
It's a purple ray something. Wait, what was it? Pulse ray.
Oh, X-ray vision.
Maybe.
Was that who was with this? I got a terrible memory.
You spoke with Kinetics and RH Max.
Oh, that's right, Kinetics.
Yeah.
How could I forget Kinetics? Come on, Kinetics. But our conversation, I felt, was a little short. I think we got about 15 minutes. I actually prepared a small little thing. It was actually a short little story, and if you don't mind, I would like to actually tell that story today.
As long as it's not about PGIF.
All right, never mind. Never mind. No, it's not about PGIF. It's an inspirational story about, capitulation and not giving up and holding.
I'd give it 110%.
And I promise it all ties back to Pulse Chain at the end. All right.
I hope so.
Success.
Brisology. Story time with Brisology. Let's go.
Story time with Brisology. All right.
No. Do business with Briz.
The biz with Briz.
Jesus.
Anyway, so my story kind of goes, I'm an early Bitcoiner. I got in right before the 2013 bull run, and that's what hooked me into Bitcoin and cryptos in general. And right after that bull run in 2013, it just went down. It went up to 1,200 and it came down to 300. And then we went from literally like 3.5 years from, actually almost 4 years from the beginning of 2014 to the very end of 2017. It was like there was like nothing, there was like barely any price action in Bitcoin. And I ended up actually in 2016 is when I ended up getting very frustrated with Bitcoin and its price performance. And I feel like everyone right now in Pulse Chain can kind of relate. We sacrificed like 2021, almost 3 years ago, and then it's been a year since launch, and we're just like, why is this price performance not going? So for me, and back in 2014, 2015, 2016, we had no idea about cycle theory or anything. Or just like, I'm like, dude, there's 21 million Bitcoin. There's not enough for everybody. Why the F isn't the price going up from 2014, 2015, 2016? The price was at like $500. And I ended up capitulating. I was just like,
What?
very frustrated with
Hmm.
Bitcoin. In
Gee,
2016, I ended up selling a business that I had started in 2010, and I had a bunch of money. And like I said, I was so frustrated with Bitcoin, I ended up buying a 1969 Cadillac. Just because I was like, I want something nice to show for
1969.
myself. I should have been taking that money. I should have bought the Bitcoin. But like I said, I was so frustrated with the price being at like $500. I was like, and back then, no idea if Bitcoin was actually going to make it. Uh, and then about a year later, in 2017, at the end of 2017, Bitcoin went from $500 up to 17,000. And that's kind of a lesson that I learned because I just needed to wait a little bit longer. I just needed to wait a little bit longer. And that Cadillac is a huge opportunity cost. It wasn't 1996 Cadillac. It was a 69 Cadillac Far Out Aliens. Anyways, so that's basically my story. Is that I just want to say I know this feels like a very long road to get into Pulse Chain. Like I said, we sacrificed almost 3 years ago. It's been uh, a year since launch, and we're all just like, why isn't the price performing the way we thought it should? And in my opinion, I still have extreme confidence that we will see that major blow off top. And I just want to, let everyone know, hey, you just got to hold out a little bit longer. Don't give up. Don't capitulate. And that's basically my story.
So you're saying we should buy Bitcoin?
100%. It's going to $1 million. It's probably going to be multi-millions. I mean,
What's the real moral of this story without
don't
giving financial advice?
don't capitulate. Just
Yeah.
that financial advice. I'm just saying,
the,
don't give up.
Don't
What's the old
buy
adage?
a car.
time.
Don't
Time in the
buy
market.
an ultra cool car. It is a pretty badass car. It's like 7.7 liters V8. Anyways, so just hold steady, guys. We're going to make it. I swear we're going to make it. And if we don't, send all your hate mail to Maddie.
No.
No. I don't have the same story as you did, Briss, but it's very similar, right? In that observation recently, I'm getting a lot of flack. Right? I mentioned crap before. Nobody personally coming at me, just once in a while in the chats or whatnot. But it's just that staking's stupid. Hex is stupid. T-shares are stupid. Of course, I believe the opposite, right? Most brilliant thing in the world. But it always brings me back to my kindergarten days of listening to Richard Hart and the step-by-step process, which may have been pre-planned and afterthought, maybe, I don't know, but the step-by-step process where over 200 hours of videos or whatever, I learned more about crypto than I ever knew before, and the psychology behind it, and et cetera, et cetera. And it comes down to that time in the market. Right. And the observation is so funny and silly. I thought about Bitcoin when it came out and it was free. I also thought about it when it was a couple bucks, and I felt vindicated when Mount Gox got hacked. that I was right. See, I was
You were a
right.
hater.
I was a hater, man. I was right. And then,
Whoa.
by the time I was interested in 2015, I wasn't technical enough at that time and was kind of put off by the FUD. I didn't go to Canada to go get my Bitcoin as if that was the only place to go, right? But in any case, I didn't go get it. And then 2016, when it was $300 or so, right? Didn't make any sense to buy it then. We're at 500, we're 1,000, but it made a lot of sense at 2,000.
Yeah. Same.
And
Funny how that
so
works.
yeah, it's funny how it works, right? And it's like real life example, and anybody listening who feels the same way, they're like, yeah, I understand. And then the others are like, well, yeah, that was that time. That's not the next time, right? Except the same thing happened with ETH, right? 50 cents, 12 cents, a buck. Couldn't buy it for $8, but it sure looked pretty good at 80.
Oh yeah.
Indeed.
Is that
What's the
yeah? So my whole point on all that stuff is, yeah, you can go back and look at this stuff, and yes, it does require some belief, and there's some risk involved. But so far, crypto has been time in the market, and
exactly?
yes, I know there's some people that do well with trading. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that for the majority, everybody can't. And one way to ensure success, a measure of success, in a up market over 30 years is to get in at bottoms and hold, right? Or stake in the case of Hex.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when Briz was telling his story. It's like it's time in the market, not timing the market, you know? And plus it's like if there are things, because it's like I remember seeing people, during the all-time highs for Hex and stuff, or not even the all-time highs, just as we were going up, buying cars and, Hex flexing in different ways and some purchases that seem, very legit, like, buying their mother a vehicle or whatever. But at the same time, it's like if you looked at later, what that amount of Hex would be worth, that's what gives me pause to ever cash out any of my RHA assets. Because it's like, if I'm expecting at least a 10x from here, not financial advice, I don't know, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm thinking like on the low side,
$5.
and I've been looking at a car. Like my car is 11 years old. It's definitely time to replace it, but I've been limping along a little bit. And it's, some repairs are popping up that are, getting increasingly expensive. So it makes sense on like almost every level, like time to go ahead and get a new car. But, if I spend $40, $50, $60,000 on a car now and I have to cash out crypto to do it, is that car worth $400,000 to $600,000 to me at a 10x? No, absolutely not. So I'm going to keep on chugging along in my happy little V-dub, hopefully until the end of the bull, and then maybe I can replace it then. But even then, it's like I have a hard time letting go of any RH stuff because it's like I really think that there is so much upside to go, especially from these levels. And I've got my little degen moon bags. Maybe that'll buy my car. But it's like, but the RH stuff, especially with staking, it's just really hard for me to imagine ever selling any of it. But at some point, taking profits is in the game, and you gotta be smart about that too when the time comes, because people like to say that they buy bottoms and sell tops, but that is rarely the case. Rarely the case.
You gotta have proof on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Yeah,
Well,
everything's a stable coin the past 3 days, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, right.
Prices
Yeah,
are
we
going
didn't
sideways.
get the conference pump. What happened?
real quick before we go, I want to say that Cadillac cost me about 15 to 30 Bitcoin, somewhere in between that. So yeah,
Ouch.
hey, so I
is
got
it
a
worth
question.
it?
No, I don't
Right.
think so. Well,
Yes.
maybe. I don't know. It all depends, Bruce. Right? It depends on your situation at the time.
I'm doing fine now, so it's okay.
I think he's all
I,
right.
I mean, you ever hear those examples where somebody's like, "Oh my God, that celebrity spent $100,000 for dinner," and you're like, "Man, that's 2 people's salaries. That's 4 people's families that could be living for a whole year on that, right?" That guy's wrong. Well, or lady's wrong, but in reality, they're making $200 million a year. One night, $100,000, such a small piece of what they have, particularly if they're that kind of celebrity, right? So it's really always in relation. But here's a trivia question for you, right? See how close you
Celebrity
can get.
chefs gotta eat.
What if you had been DCing just into EHEX now, just EHEX, right? Forget about you haven't get a copy. And from the first week, and you put a set amount in every week, what do you think your return on investment would be right now if you were liquid? What do you think it might
Negative 100%. Isn't
be? That's
isn't that
Maddie's
what
answer.
isn't that what the YouTubers
I'm
say?
sorry. What was the parameter again?
What do you think your return on investment would be if you've been religiously every week DCing into EHEX?
The same amount every week since Hex launched. EHEX only.
Oh, since it launched.
You
$100
buy
a week,
every week.
$200 a week.
$1 a week, whatever it is.
Yeah, mine's been I mean, I've done that, but it's not consistently the same amount every week. But I've DCA'd in since the beginning. I've just been selective.
So you have to make a guess what the percent.
What do you be down?
Well, I mean, for me personally, it's like my total portfolio is just under a 2x.
But you have to get Toby, play the game.
He gave us 200%.
Yeah, so I'm saying it. I pretty much have done that.
100% ROI.
Yeah, 100% ROI.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Well,
Bruce.
we're gonna see.
What do you think?
I really have no idea, but I think you'd be up.
I think you'd be up. All right, so that's pretty good range.
Come on, put a number on it.
I mean, Jesus. I mean, we're talking about 3.5 years of
4.5.
4.5 years.
Yeah, December will be 5.
I really have. I can't calculate the number in my head. I have no idea.
Is this staked or not staked?
Not. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you numbers for both.
Okay.
All right, you ready? Yeah, no sense dragging this out. Bruce isn't playing the game, so it's all right.
I guess it's 30% up.
So in my example of $200 a week, this is the, you guys might know I've been doing the DCA thing for a long time and recording that. And so just looking at the closing prices every Tuesday, $200 a week. If I had been just getting EX, just EX, not staking it, I would be somewhere around minus 3%.
Oh, wow.
That's it?
So
about break even.
That's it. It's about break even. So Maddie, not minus 100%. And then of course, Toby's up, says he's up 100%, right? If you had been staking during that time for about six years on average for your stakes, because you would have gotten a different ones. I mean, that's a complex type of a calculation. You could be plus 234% ROI. Now, of course, this is paper value. This is paper value, right? And so it's over that period of time. But doesn't that sound like a completely different story than everybody got wrecked? And I get it, guys. Apologies for the people who came in during the middle, right? I know the prices were high, but this is a learning experience for us to understand what happened and why the story that Briz told and what I was saying kind of fits into the Richard Hart scenario. The idea of accumulating units early while they're cheap, staking and chill, right? So for the early adopters who took that approach, they're in pretty good shape, in terms of that. And then of course, if you got copies of those things, you're even in better shape because you have a free copy on the Pulse chain. I just find it super interesting because, I'm going to do a series of streams coming up where I'm talking about staking. I do it every week anyways, but talking about it almost on a daily basis, maybe saying, hey, listen, if you are in early enough, AKA under a penny, and the future base price of Hex is higher, or even if it's close to this number, 14% isn't so bad. Not so bad. I mean, it's not the 1,000%. It's not the 10,000x everybody wants. It's not roaring kitty. And a million percent in a day, but it's something you can really depend on. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a rotation back to this narrative at some point, because it's something that works day in and day out. Doesn't require Briz to not remove his liquidity or add liquidity. Is not affected by what Hexobi does, except on the very big macro scale, because again, the hex system so stabilized, it's very difficult for it to move significantly. But my farm yield can go away tomorrow. Like I could wake
Well,
up and help the farms are going, oh, what do I do now? You know?
Right.
so let me play the devil's advocate and say, compared to ETH, the return is a negative 90% or negative 50%, somewhere in there.
Maybe. Well, yeah, and let's be fair and honest, right? If I remember, I specifically did not include the copy, which I think if you are going to compare to ETH and Bitcoin, you do need to include the copy because that is real value that you got. But let's say you didn't do that. The ETH hodl for the same amount at this point, you would be plus 311%. So
That's
higher
it?
than
Only
staking.
3x?
So I'm sorry. Well, it's an ROI, so it's 4x, right?
Okay.
So hex staking, EHEX staking would have been a 3.3x. A ETH hodl would be a 4.1x, and Bitcoin just a 3x even.
Wow, that's really impressive. I love those numbers. So if you're
Well,
a hex
lots of
staker
threes.
that's DCAing, you've done almost as well as Ethereum, and at times you've done way better.
Yeah, and if you'd been staking, you'd do better than Bitcoin.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Now,
so
of course,
cool.
these are selective. I pick Tuesday every Tuesday. There's probably a
We
different.
stream on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I know. I picked Tuesday.
It's a good
But I
day.
mean, we could go through a whole bunch of different scenarios and obviously create different results. And I didn't cherry pick these. These are just the ones I've been doing weekly. But again, I'm just trying to demonstrate this time in the market concept and the idea that you could be, hex staking is not dead. You might think it's dead and you may not participate, but those of us who are still going to stake in mine are just going to get even better rewards the next time because you're not participating. Because again, as I said in the conference, hex ain't going anywhere. It's here. It's part of Pulse Chain. Looking at on the Pulse side now, it's part of Pulse Chain, and there's a shat ton of liquidity out there.
Yeah,
Sunk liquidity
I have a
that ain't going.
I have a question. Do people,
Go ahead, Toby.
I would say that there'd be a fair amount of people that consider someone like Warren Buffett rather boring.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even though he's had tremendous success for decades and decades, there's an argument to be said that he's a little boring, right? Because of the fundamentals that he relies on to make his choices, and it seems a little tired and old, but he's done pretty damn well. And I look at guys like Crispy and like myself and Maddie and Briz, and it's like I feel like a lot of times like what we're talking about is kind of boring. And I mean, like Maddie and and Briz are doing great on socials and stuff, and so is Crispy. I really feel like if I was more hyperbolic, if I was a Sami type or a B Roots type, then yeah, would my social account be much higher? Absolutely. But I just can't bring myself to be a hype man, right? It's like I like math. I have been a math nerd my whole life, and that is what made me fall in love with Hex when I started to figure out T-shares and saw the other vision that RH had for DeFi. And yeah, it's a little boring, a little slow and steady, but if you, in my opinion, all right, and this is only my opinion, it's very much like a traditional portfolio. You have your blue chips. They're stable, they're steady, they're going to make money, they're not going to implode overnight. Apple's not going anywhere, Facebook's not going anywhere, Amazon's not going anywhere. Probably good stocks to hold long term, right? But are you going to get the huge gains like you would in a startup? No. But you don't take that level of risk in something that is, that's a startup. Like you put a smaller percentage of your bag in those things. So that's why, it's like I'm all about free speech. I sacrificed a fair amount of money for free speech, and I am a huge advocate for people doing what they want to do with their own money. But
Respect.
I want to see as many people as possible here for the victory lap as possible. I want to see everybody I can in the victory lap. And if you're not getting in at these levels and have a stable staking ladder and you are chasing all of the meme stuff, man, I'm telling you, it is a meat grinder. There are so many of those things out there that you are going to lose. I saw a guy on Twitter today. I can't remember his handle right now, Pulse something, and Pulse Informer maybe. And he was basically, no, I'll find it. But it's like, but it was kind of sad because he was like, basically, I don't trust anybody on Pulse Chain anymore. I'm done. You know, everything I buy dumps. You know, even if I buy dips, it keeps dumping. You know, I don't trust anybody on Pulse Chain anymore. So to me, that made me feel like, oh well, he's following all these people talking about all these meme coins, right? Now, if you're in early on those things and you can get some profit and get out with a moon bag, congrats. But the vast majority of people don't get into those things until after the huge majority of gains are made. So what's happening is that wealth is being consolidated into the hands of the few. And the people that are out there buying the scratch offs are the ones that are financing that. So I would prefer, like, if you're going to do that, and like this is part of the reason I like Sami, because he says over and over 90% core, 10% lottery. I think that's fair, you know, and it depends on what your core is, right? Some people's core might be Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Hex.
You know, my core is 90+% RH tokens, and probably 5 to 10% other stuff. And it's worked out really, really well for me. And I think long term, it's going to stand the test of time more so than a lot of these other items. But time will tell, and when we have the victory lap, which I believe will come, maybe we can point back to this and stale old narratives like me and Crispy and Briz and Maddie keep telling you guys. We can be like, we told you, we tried to tell you.
I'm going to take a page out of your guys' books. I'm just going to start doing streams and say, don't stake. Staking's dead forever. And I'll just use the reverse psychology, because you know what? I actually, I get a little tongue in cheek about it, but I like the idea of getting thousands of hex per day, per t-shirt. I like that idea. So you know what, guys, don't stake. In fact, stay liquid,
Yep.
I want to make a correction here. I just realized that the price I'm seeing displayed on my Pulse and PulseX clock, a lot of people have these. It's like an actual physical clock that shows the price of everything. It's showing me that the price of ink is not the actual price.
$10.
So that's why. Yeah, I was literally, I thought that the price of ink had stayed at $3.28 for like the last 3 days, but I bet this clock is just wrong.
It was pretty close. It went down just a little bit today.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was hoping you're going to tell me it was $10, and I just been looking at the wrong chart.
That'd be nice. Yeah. So correction there. That is not true that the market has been going exactly sideways for the last 3 days. But yeah, all in all, I think everything you guys are saying is spot on.
Yeah, the one other thing I wanted to mention was how can I say this? Basically, I heard Corey Geary earlier today, and he was kind of complaining about people talking about retaining the value of their coins via sacrificing it for Pulse Chain. And so I was kind of looking at how
What's
much
to complain about? It's true.
It is true. Well, he was complaining. He was saying that, those people that are gloating about that, they're the ones dumping, which I totally disagree with. I mean, there's no empirical evidence that that's even remotely true. But what I was looking at was I had a screenshot of how much hex I sacrificed and the value that I sacrificed it at, and then the value of that same hex today. And I'm just kind of like shocked at how easy I can buy back all that hex with just a portion of the PLS that I received.
Even at these prices on PLS.
Yeah.
And I urge everyone, nobody buy hex, because I am going to buy some hex, more hex. I got some last week, and I don't want you to front run me. So I want to get more. I said this on stream too, man. If I could figure out a way to get 20 million, I'd get 20 million hex right now. I'm getting so pumped up about it. And I know it's not financial advice, but man, it just feels from everything I'm seeing, the amount of interest, how things are working, the accumulation on the market, that I want more exposure to hex staked. Not to dump onto your heads. I guess I want something that I can take profit with too, but I really want to make sure I have a good ladder going into the future, because that those T-shares are not going to get cheaper, and I think we will set new bottoms in the future. But that's my belief, not my proof. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
The trend is your friend, as they say, and I mean, unfortunately, the trend is still down at this point. So I mean, have we made the lows? I don't know. I think we're near the lows. It could be a crab walk sideways from now, building support. We have got some some higher lows on some of the significant charts, which help. But I don't know that we're out of the woods. I think it's going to be a long summer, and then by fall we should get a pretty good indication of direction, which I believe would be up and to the right. But your 20 million hex statement triggered me a bit, because as I've said many times on stream, so it's no news to anyone that's
You've got
attention.
20 million sitting on your desk there?
No, I had 20 million at the high liquid.
You did mention that a couple times.
Yeah, and I staked it out. I had a gap in my ladder. I didn't need the money, and and that at that time was over $10 million. Now, obviously, it would have hurt the chart, but not as bad as some people might have thought. Like, had I dumped it, and I had a limit order set, and I canceled it because I thought we could be going higher, and I wanted my copies. I didn't want to sell any of my hex, because we were 2 weeks, 4 weeks away, right? All that fun shit.
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. So
you're making me feel small and inadequate.
But check this out. While you were saying that, I did the math real quick. This is on eHex alone. If I told you right now, hey, give me 35,000, and then the next 18 months, I'm going to say there's a chance, a better than fair chance, that'll be worth $10 million. You would probably be like, oh, what? Tell me more, right? Well, that's what it would cost you right now for 20 million eHex, is $35,000. And at the all-time high, that was $10 million. That to me sounds like a tremendous discount. Just using that as an example. Of course, PHEX is something that I would probably be looking more seriously at long term. But I think any hex, or those two hexes, are both phenomenal buys at this point. And I am jealous that I do not have more dry powder left to even build my bags more than they already are. Because I mean, I think this is going to be awesome.
Well, market structure and how markets work and everything, right? So I'm continuing to do my learning, but God, it's how hard it is to get out of things and move into things. And maybe there's some other people considering this too. I'm trying to figure out how I make sure that my value is migrated into Pulse Hex, Pulse, and Hex. That's what I'm thinking about right now. And most preferably all the way into Hex. And I may be premature in that thinking. Certainly people might say that. But I'm just like, yeah, I think that's where that heat sink of value may be. And there's some other smart dudes and dudettes and undescribables saying the same thing, right? Other people saying the same thing. Like I think maybe even Dylan was talking about that. Maybe it was Dylan. No, it was KG the other day. But who knows? Dylan might have been saying something too. But the idea that, and that's kind of the point we started out with, is you cannot depend on high yield forever, right? Because high yield means it's going to attract people. That's the mechanism, right? I'm going to give you rewards if you come stake or you do LP. But if enough people take advantage of that, the rewards go down. That's how it works, right? That's how it works. And so at some point, we've seen it happen, come close a couple of times. At some point, maybe it will be more profitable for me to, stake hex than it is to do some of these other things like farming. It's certainly a different set of risks. That's for sure.
So I kind of want to address this guy in chat. Mingle, he says, hex wells that literally have an infinite money glitch saw a whale last week at $15 million just on Pulse Chain. When we do a 10x, he's just not going to dump millions and millions. And you know what? We now have the Flex protocol and the Earn protocol. And this guy, instead of dumping 15 million onto the market and maybe walking away with like 3, 5, maybe 7 million, I don't know, he can now instead use the Flex protocol, lock up that hex, and take out, well, he could take out 90% of whatever he puts in there. He has to leave 10% behind. And so, yeah, he can take out
Take that stables, right?
90% of that $15 million. And here's the thing, if he market dumps it and hex goes back up and it keeps going up, he can't sell it again because he already dumped it. But if he takes out that Flex loan, he will actually be able to take out more stable
That's
coins.
not an option. I don't think it'll be that big even at this top. We heard from or I heard from Just Ask Jesse, who, like did the whole PulseX liquid loans thing.
If
And
people can only take out
it's-
100K or something.
yeah, it's
Right.
it's not currently being supported, and so like whales don't get to get out for free. Basically, they don't get to just get whatever price the smaller guy is getting, right? And so definitely it's like what your size is compared to the rest of the market. If you wanted, to be a Bitcoiner and get out, like you had to wait multiple cycles if you had millions of dollars when everybody else like didn't have that much in there. So I think that, like for any coin, 100% of the supply is owned by somebody, more or less. So like you can't fudge yourself out when you see one whale with $15 million on Pulse Chain. Like that doesn't mean anything really. It all comes down to like, well, either that whale is going to distribute to other people at like, a price that is really volatile, or maybe not. But like the issue of whales getting out of the market is that's something that only comes with multiple cycles.
Well, Maddie, I think you could speak to this too. I mean, being a psychologist, market psychology, like what is the market psychology of tops and bottoms? Typically, my experience has been that when we're in the FOMO period, that people, not as many people take profit as you think. People are hanging on. I remember a blackjack dealer telling me years ago, as a young blackjack player in Vegas counting cards, he said, you know what? He goes, every blackjack player I ever met wants to make the same amount of money. And I'm like, oh yeah, what? What? How much? Got me hook, line, and sinker. He said, a little bit more. And that's the thing, man. It's like you get those big green candles, bro. I've been there. If I had 20 million liquid hex at the top, what do you think the rest of my bags look like? I got an ES. I could have had ridiculous amount of money, right? And I chose not to for a couple of reasons. One, I thought we could be going higher, and number two, I wanted my copies, right? So there's going to be similar mentality across the board, including that whale that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That is likely to hang on as we continue to pump. And why in the world would he sell the golden goose if he's got opportunity with hex staking, with Hedron, with Icosa, with so many different other protocols on Pulse Chain itself to validate? Like, I don't know how much of that $15 million on Pulse Chain is Pulse itself. He could literally just validate and earn more Pulse all the time from that. There's so many opportunities. It's like people with that kind of money, you'd be amazed that they don't have the same psychology as people that don't.
You could pick this apart at any point. Like it's not $15 million because you're probably not talking about stable coins that are redeemable one for one in a bank.
Right.
So it's not $15 million. It's it's like a lot of Pulse. And a lot of Pulse comes with slippage if you're trying to cash it out for dollars. And so even like denominating it, in the unit of account that we all think in, that's like a helpful shortcut unless you're actually trying to sell $15 million in one clip. Now, whales, we saw with the BankX whale, like it's not always the right move to set V3 liquidity. Like people will come on this show and they will tell you after like 1 year of doing their own research, they'll say, "Oh, you're an idiot if you don't set V3 liquidity." And then you actually, you know, if you've been in this game as long as I have and actually talked to the whales, they're like, you know, not trying to end up like the BankX guys that make the chart go down forever. And don't ever get filled at the order that they could have, right? Like the BankX guys could have gotten way more if they just market dumped, compared to what they're getting at this point. And we still don't know, like,
if they didn't put their whole stack at that level on V3.
But
I mean, they could have been smarter about how to use V3.
And then, well, no. Part of using V3 is telling the market what you're going to do. And sometimes telling the market what you're going to do if you're too big of a player is a bad idea, because it creates like an illiquid market, because it scares off the LP 100%. Providers and stuff.
Yeah, but if they did 50 grand at a penny and 1.2 cents or something instead of like $13 million worth or whatever it was, then
if you're a dolphin, setting V3 liquidity makes perfect sense if you're moving with the market. If you're a shark or a whale, then you don't want to. Now,
I have a dissenting.
Please, but
opinion when you have time.
Let me just say real quick too. The other thing about the market psychology here is that like you don't do a 10x overnight, and the reason you don't see a 10x overnight is because the whale with 100 or with $15 million, they don't get to $150 million instantly. They have to like decide to not sell when it drops down to 5 million. They have to decide to not sell when it goes to 20 million and 30 million and 40 million. And so that's part of the market psychology too, is like when we do a 10x, the people who think that they're going to still be in the market might not be. Crispy?
Well, I was just going to say, you're talking about the best way to LP or the best way to get out of position and stuff. I just want you guys to know that I believe that there's a much more complex combination of steps and things you got to do than just simply making, and I'm not picking on you, Maddie, but taking a page out of your book, instead of just simply saying you should be doing V3 LP. We've proven that V3 LP can shut down a token just as quickly as anything else, right? And I don't profess to have all the answers, but let's take a look at what people do in crypto. What do people generally do in crypto on a whole? They do market sells, right? Why do they do market sells? Because number one, it's the easiest damn thing you can do. I want my money. Where's my money? Click the button, right? It's also the most profitable thing you can do for everybody else, because that's where they transfer value. So at the very basics, in my opinion, that's where it's at, right?
It's the least uncertain.
Say that again?
It's the least uncertain, because you're taking whatever liquidity is available and you're making the order at that point.
But you're creating volatility when you do it, right? And volatility is what keeps the traders trading, which keeps the interest, which draws the people, which brings the value. And yeah, sure, if you're going downward, I guess that's pretty sucky, right? Because that's going to bring the price down. And so that's why we keep talking about V3, V2, and all the rest. There's just no easy answer to getting out. And I think this is the point that maybe Toby was going after, and even you had mentioned. If you considered, well, we know Toby, maybe he's already a whale, but we look at the four of us. If we're all whales and we're sitting in the system.
I'm not a whale.
We're pretending. We're pretending. We're pretending we're all whales, right? And we all have that 100 million value. We ain't getting out. I don't care how many goddamn tops you think you're timing. We all ain't getting out with that money. It ain't happening. That value isn't coming out.
On what time frame?
At the same time, at the top, within the day, 400 million hits the market, because we're all planning to get out.
It depends what asset you're in.
56 cents at the same time.
Well, Maddie, we're talking about our assets, and we're not all getting out with the top top dollar value. It doesn't matter which RH
What I'm
token
saying
you're
is,
talking
if people
about.
waited 10 years in Bitcoin, they could get out with
Oh yeah, you wait,
400 million.
but that's just reinforcing my idea, right, about being in the market long term. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
reinforce the idea that Toby has, which is, hey, listen, yeah, there's some people that don't know this. Maybe there's some whales got incredibly lucky, and they don't know that if they put 100 million through the ringer, they're not getting 100 million out. So, but let's take them, put them aside for a moment. The rest of us know, and so you got to figure out, what are you doing? What's your plan, man? What's your plan? Because are you going to kill the market? Are you going to take what you can and run? Are you going to figure out how to put it to work? You got to figure out. There's like decisions to be made, and that's why I don't think it's just as simple as, hey, I got 100 million, I'm getting out. I don't think it's that simple. Because now
And
maybe in
yeah.
Bitcoin with a trillion, maybe, but we're not there
Right.
yet.
Right.
We're not there yet.
Not, and we've seen from the OA buy-in behavior that not all whales are trying to get out this cycle.
Of course, they're not trying to get
They're
out.
not trying to trade. They're trying to show what they believe in.
Yep.
In many different ways. Some because they truly believe in one thing, and those that want to avoid another. You know, I mean, who was on this? Somebody was on the streams talking about, your bank opening their eyes and being shocked when you try to transfer $10 million through their account. You don't think you're going to get some questions? Of course you are. You're going to get, it's different, man. If I'm bringing $200 out of crypto, nobody cares, right? I mean, it's very infrequent, but that I think that anybody's caring whether I'm bringing $200 back and forth. They're trying to pull millions of dollars out. There's some questions got to be answered, probably. And then,
ChrispyMan.
yeah,
If I could just interject for 2 seconds right here. I was at the bank
Bruce.
with my mother today, and she has 2 cards, and she was trying to transfer money from one account to the other, and it was over $20,000. I'm giving her into 555 sticks, boys. I'm just kidding. But she tried to transfer more than like a little over 20,000, and they're like, it got denied. There's probably a limit of how much you can transfer. I'm like, okay, well, can we try 5,000? She's like, we can't try again today. They just won't let us try again.
Yeah, trad five.
No, you got to go to like another bank if you want to try it again today. I'm like, what the heck?
Dude, I had a conversation with my bank today because I was just trying to move money from one bank to another, and they had this ridiculous limit of like $5,000 a month that I could move from one checking account to another. So the only way, if I want to move more than that a month, is I have to get a cashier's check and like hand carry it over. Or it's silly, dude. TradFi sucks.
It's not your money, Toby.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was one point I made at the conference. I know that there were multiple people making that point, but yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about crypto is you have control over sending. And I mean that. Remember, one way to cash out of crypto is to, this is a meme, but it's to never
Not
have to cash out.
Exactly.
It's the Matrix and Neo. When it's time for you to cash out, you won't have to because you'll be able to use crypto as peer-to-peer cash. And we're not necessarily there yet, but that is, the technology enables that beautifully.
Did you see that meme that was going around last week? It's probably been around for a while. It talks about the difference between a rich person and a poor person getting $1 million transferred into their account. Have you seen that meme?
No.
What is
And the difference between the two is the poor person, and I've lived this, right? The poor person sees the $1 million come in. I'm making all my plans on how I'm going to spend it, and I've got every penny spent before it hits the account, right? And quote unquote, a wealthy person, a rich person, we want to say, they're thinking about, how do I put this to work to make more money? And so in a way, this relates to the whales, right? Because yes, there's a lot of people, particularly that are bent, are going to be like, oh, those whales are just taking all the money and going to go run off with it. And yeah, there's some people that do that. But I think you'd be surprised how many of the people that are sharks or whales, they're not thinking that at all. They're thinking more like, okay, let's, a little bit more mature thinking, like, how do I put this to work? How best to protect this?
And whales mostly got to be whales, especially if they've been in the market for a long time, by doing things intelligently. So I think you would probably, the bigger upstream resistance is going to be schools of pleb fish, right? That are getting siphoned off into chasing, shiny new narratives, or just being happy to sell on a 2x, and don't diamond hand the majority of their bags to help the greater cause, the bigger vision, right? Because the thing is like, to just mention that whale that you were talking about one more time, I'd be very interested to see the address to see if it is indeed a whale and not an LP contract or something else that you're looking at. But I think that a whale like that, let's say they do hang on until it's a 10x. How much energy do they want to extract from that system that has made them so many gains, right? So and plus you got to ask, like, what do you need to live on, right? It's like, I don't need $10 million. That's part of the reason I didn't sell at the time.
That's a whole nother question.
Yeah, where am I gonna take that money and have the opportunity to make more gains than I am in crypto and in the RH ecosystem, in my opinion. So as far as when I get to the point where I need to take some profit from my crypto to live, it will be a fraction of my bags, and I will never spend all of my crypto. That's the goal. That should be the goal for everyone. Get your bags big enough to where your yield will more than cover your expenses. That was the whole idea behind staking ladders.
That's
right?
the whole idea.
That's the whole purpose, is that you stake, and then that your stakes are ending, and you take your yield and live off your yield, and you restake your principal, rinse and repeat. And the people that get it are going to be rewarded. Full stop. Already have been.
Now, I get that, Maddie, that on our show here, Maddie, our viewership is slanted a little bit towards the mid 30s to 40s, right? And but we have quite a few people, and I think that's what you said.
You talking about age?
Yeah, age. But
okay.
But anyways, my thinking is this: I don't think a lot of people probably have put as much thought into retirement, quote unquote retirement, as probably some of the other people around here. And what Toby's saying is this: what are you going to do with $10 million? Sure, you can spend it. But if you're living off of $50,000-$60,000 a year now, okay, live off of 200,000, whatever. But the thing is are you really going to be living off of 10 million, and spending that every year? You still have to have limits. You still have to have some idea of what your real expenses are, and how you're going to live your life.
Sure. Yeah. A drastic change in your spending can change you.
$100 sushi dinners every night, baby.
That ain't nothing, man. $100 a night for dinner. Yeah.
Feeding the stray cats in Monaco.
Yep. Stray cats in Monaco.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, like, we have 5 examples of whales that appear to be active in the system now, as far as I know.
Fire whale, God whale.
We got, yep. All right, keep going.
Toby
whale, Toby whale. I don't know.
He said he's not a whale. Keep going. We got 2. You said God whale and fire whale. I have 3 more.
OA.
OA. All right.
OA is more Poseidon, but
yeah. So is God whale.
Yeah, I actually never put a lot of time in identifying all these people. So unless somebody told me,
we got 2 more. Anybody? Bueller.
Is he one too?
So we got Rackham and his whole like conglomerate corporation. They did some like shady tax stuff under like a company that they then dissolved, and like was temporarily listed on a stock exchange during the time of the sacrifice, and now like the company's name has changed, this and that, right? So Rackham's a whale.
So we got God whale, fire whale, Rackham, RH. Is RH the whale? A whale?
Okay, and then a 5th one.
Who's this whale?
The Sun Mini Meal whale has made a splash at token 2049. in association with
Who?
Tech
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Scout
yeah. That's
and
right.
Suzanne Hexakin. This is somebody who has created such a thriving multi-million dollar health food business in Germany that they went on to sponsor major events at the biggest crypto conference in the world in Dubai just last month. And then
Sorry,
it
I
was
missed the name. Who's it?
sun, like the sun in the sky, sun mini meal, like a smaller meal than a
Mini
medium meal.
meal. All right. Sun
Okay.
mini
Some
meal.
mini meal. Got it.
Sun,
So who's this
yeah,
person?
or
What's going
some
on?
people just call
There-
him sun. Like,
There's a
Okay, so
there's a
who is this
token named
son?
that too.
yes, there is. Yeah, there's a token in that.
So who is
And,
this person?
This is a whale in the ecosystem that runs a successful business, and as far as I can tell, like is not only supporting the ecosystem, but is somebody who's like not here to extract immediate value. So if we have 4 out of 5 whales that I know of, that are wanting to build Pulse Chain and Hex, that seems like a really good ratio. And sure, it's possible that we'll see another. But I mean, if you think about like how that ratio has been changing, you had Dick Cherry, right? Nick Cherry, Coinbase, hater dude who never did anything for the ecosystem, and like basically just gate kept us and extracted $13 million. Like that seems to be like a sizable whale position.
A
Maybe
sperm whale.
it's like a smaller end whale, but that's somebody who, the whale ratio used to be 2 JEETs out of 6, and now it's just 1 out of 5, right? And so that ratio is changing. All of a sudden, instead of like 60% building whales and 40% JEETs, now we've cut that ratio in half, and now it's like 20% JEETs and 80% builders. So, I mean, these whale games make a big difference. It only takes 1 or 2 whales that aren't already involved for the ecosystem to just blast into the next, sphere of space or whatever. But even just the whales that we have now can keep, basically keep the ecosystem going and keep us growing and keep us on the right track.
Well, and I mean that's the whole narrative too of shaking out the weak hands, right? The idea behind it is that over time people capitulate that don't believe in the long-term vision of what they're invested in. So over time, theoretically, you should have more and more people consolidating that are holders and stakers and believers long-term in a thing, right?
Depends who
Because
you
people,
attract,
well,
actually.
right. Well, and I think we've shaken a lot of those types out. But it's kind of it's cyclical, right? It's like because you're going to get people even now that are probably, I mean, look at the EHEX chart that are trading it, right? And they're making a 2x and then they're getting out, and they're making a 2x and they're getting out, and it's like, and that's doable at certain dollar levels with the type of liquidity that's over there right now. And I'm sure the same things are going on, with all the RH tokens throughout. And there's people that are doing well doing that, and there's also people trying that and getting wrecked. So I mean, you're gonna have that type of behavior. But what I'm saying, as over time, cumulatively, theoretically, what should happen is you're gonna end up with you're gonna consolidate more people that are believers long term. Because even if they're getting in and doing the trading, maybe they're going to treat it like a degen coin, and they're going to do a 2x, sell half, and now they got a moon bag of hex. It didn't cost them anything. They got their money back out. So now they're holding, right? Because now maybe they've learned a little bit, and they're like, hey, I'm going to see if this thing does a 10x. I'm going to see if it goes to all-time high again. I'm going to see what it does in this cycle. So, by default, maybe even those people are becoming diamond handers. But that's the theory. It makes sense to me. Time will tell, but there's always going to be people that cheat.
You would rather have people who are whales that they're making so many millions of dollars from other areas of their life that you would ask, what is their incentive to even sell
Right.
at these prices or 10x higher? And
Yep.
yeah,
Look at the
like
God whale.
there's
I mean, he's like an original ETH OG, right? It's like,
correct.
so how much ETH does he still hold from that original allocation? It's
We can see
like,
on chain.
right. Yeah, it's a boat ton. So, I mean, he believes long term and still holding, as far as I can tell.
And and these whales probably have asset preferences. Like, are you gonna sell your PLSX that has the potential to do a 1000x still, or are you gonna sell the Ethereum, which will most likely only do like a 5 to 7x this bull run?
Well,
Right?
yeah, a lot of them are playing whale games, and yeah,
Oh, for sure.
the ones that
Oh my God.
again really care about more than just the money.
Yep.
That's the
Have you ever
common
seen?
denominator here. Is like, there's this thin band of people based on like, how much you actually hold, where you care about 1000x or a 10x, but and maybe there's like 1% or 10% of a coin that's even owned. Like 95% of hex is owned by the OA. So like you can't even say that even like probably even 2% of the coins like are outside of whale hands that are like people trying to get rich. And like there's nothing wrong with getting rich, but the point I'm trying to make is that there are people in pulse chain and hex at all sizes that care about other things as well as just price.
Yep. And have you guys ever seen humpback whales bubble net? It's really, I wanted to be a marine biologist at one point in my life, and I'm still very active in marine aquaria. Obviously, you can't keep whales in aquariums, but bubble netting is a really interesting phenomenon where they will go down to a fair depth, and then they will swim slowly in a circle, releasing air, and it will create this curtain of bubbles in a circle, and they're super chill, just super calmly swimming in the circle, slowly releasing air bubbles to make this big curtain. And then what happens is the shoal of fish above them panic because they see this wall of bubbles around them, and they consolidate in the middle. And then as soon as they consolidate in the middle, what happens? The whales come up from the bottom in the middle of that cylinder of bubbles they've created with mouth agape and just get a big giant mouthful of this giant school of fish more easily than trying to go like grab them one at a time. So whale
Beautiful.
games to me are hilarious because it's like they put panic in the market, and they do it for a purpose, right? They are going to, it's like we had that dude, what was his name, Alex or whatever, that came on. He was playing games, right? It's like
yeah.
there are people that are going to do that to the upside and to the downside to get you to react. So to me, I think it's just funny, like over time, just watching it occur. I mean, they're doing it. Why? To consolidate more of the things they like. So, I mean, if you have a whale that's like actively playing games and accumulating more pulse chain tokens, that ain't necessarily bad, because it's like, why would they be doing all that to accumulate more of it? Because they understand that now a small fraction of it, like if they hold 98, like let's say that they hold 90% of it and everything goes up because they're holding 90% of it, staked or liquid and put in time pays me or whatever, and they have no intention of selling it. But because they have such a bulk of the supply now, they are going to facilitate the rise of that asset. Now their 10% becomes that much more valuable, and it's that much easier for them to exit, like with fair amounts of money later on down the line.
Or
right? If they care,
not everybody has to exit.
No. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at me, dude. It's like I've still not liquidated any, cashed out any Richard Hart coins, So,
round tripping your money isn't all that bad.
Nah, it's good. I'm excited, dude. There's so many cool things going on. It's like, I know that like Kinetics was talking about his PGIF Icosa burn thing or whatever, and it's like in the chat, like during that segment, I actually put in there, I'm like, if people think this through, and I haven't done a lot of research on that particular protocol, but number one, they could do it on ink if they chose to and have it burn ink. Number two, if it's burning Icosa, which is a derivative play of Hex, And by burning ICOSA, theoretically, it will raise the price of ICOSA. It will have a drag-on effect to Hex as well. So these
It sounds
kinds
like
of
a bunch of
ideas,
nonsense to me. It sounds like a Rube
seems-
Goldberg machine that's worse
it-
than Hedron. And I called it. Somebody threw shade
I don't
at
know. I'm
me
not saying go buy
this
it. I'm
past
just
week.
saying if it works and it helps, like to
But
reduce
how
the
does it
supply of the
work?
thing. Well, if it
No,
reduces,
it-
if it's reducing the supply,
but
of
if you can
ICOSA
apply
by
it to
burning
any coin, then it dilutes itself.
Well,
It's-
what you're getting in exchange for burning it, the iBurn token or whatever, who's to say how that holds up at all? That's, to me, I could give a shit about that. It's
Creating
like,
more than
but
one
if it's
token at
burning-
the same time is like a great ruse because you can create unlimited liquidity between the two. But like that doesn't mean that it has value unless you start tricking people into
No. I'm not
thinking it
talking
does.
I'm not talking about their tokens having sustainable value. I mean, obviously you can paint those charts any which way you want. What I like about it is the fact that to do it, to be a participant, it's burning ICOSA. So if it's taking ICOSA off the market and reducing that supply, and that's a derivative of Hex, if that indeed does reduce supply, increases the price of ICOSA, then theoretically that should have a drag-on effect to Hex. So that's what I like about it. The other stuff I can't speak to because to me it seems like there's too many ways.
You know
for them
what
to just
has
make the chart
an effect on Hex?
Buying
Hex.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what else has an effect on Hex?
Staking
Other
Hex?
than buying it?
Staking?
saying we have girls in the economy.
Staking it.
Yep.
There you go.
Hey, did you see Whitney's post about the conference she just spoke at? You should find it on Twitter. It's very, very cool. Let me see if I've got it.
So I'm not sure if like everybody in the audience knows what like a Rube Goldberg machine is. Does anybody want to take a stab at what that is?
It's a very complicated
get copyright.
machine that performs a very simple task.
Yes.
Yes. True.
Okay.
If you're
So
a fan
like,
of the
you
band
know, a
OK
machine that
Go,
does
there's a
the
really cool
100
video of
different
them.
functions, and then the end goal is to move a spoon into your mouth.
Yeah. Or like flip
That
a
was,
switch or something.
An
but you had to,
example
like-
of a Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah. You had to have like a marble going down a track and doing a loop-de-loop and then like
Dude, you know
strikes
OK
a
Go,
match
right?
that like burns a string and then a weight is
Right.
released and
And then a bowling
in the
ball goes
end,
down a
it
bigger
just,
track, and then
in the end it just like flips the switch.
But Maddie, you know the band OK Go, right?
No.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Check out OK Go. They've got a great music video, and it's this crazy elaborate Rube Goldberg machine that's hilarious.
But do
And
they
the-
have a
the-
token that
it's-
buys and burns Hex?
They do not. But
well,
you never know. We could reach out to
what
them
are we
and see if
talking
they could
about?
figure something out that. But hey, check out Whitney Magic status because it's really cool. She was able to speak at a conference with like I forget how many women it was at, and she was representing crypto to all of these entrepreneurial women. And I think that's a
I saw
really
that.
great real world situation.
How come
of people
I wasn't
outside
asked
of
to
our bubble.
speak?
She rocks.
Too much facial hair, bro. Too much facial hair.
Wow, Grandpa, 2024. All right, women
just
can
saying,
have
it's like-
well,
that's
facial
one.
hair
Yeah,
now.
I'm not touching that one. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. Like her thing, where'd it go? It is right.
Oh, I got
here.
it here. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, more women in crypto. Yeah,
We're gonna
So,
go
yeah.
back to the topic of Rube Goldberg machines, though.
yeah. Put a pin in that one. But I thought
Yeah.
this was really cool that she was able to speak at this
Very cool.
this gathering of 70+ women in Austin, and she was the crypto queen. And
Yeah.
is obsessed with educating, empowering, and building a home for women in crypto, which is more than 50% of the population is women. So I think for us to have such a vocal female population in the RH ecosystem is something I think unique in the crypto space, and I'm really glad that that's being supported.
Respect.
Yep. Good job, Whitney. She was on the conference.
She was. Yeah.
Yeah, she's good stuff.
We had
Good
lots of women. We had lots of women on the conference.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Because
She did.
it's
Podprol was great. Like with the efforts that she's making for people that weren't able to watch all 4 days of the conference and might have missed some parts of it. I was fortunate enough to be on a panel with her and Aubrey de Grey, and So she's doing some pretty remarkable things and literally doxed herself to start a lawsuit against the Sense Foundation to release our money, right? That we all donated $27 million to
Release
longevity
it
research.
to Aubrey for his
Yep.
rats. that
Exactly.
Need to be funded.
Exactly. Yeah, we
Yep.
need longer telomeres on those rats.
I
But
am. Yeah, I'm really impressed with her heroism in this case, because it takes a lot in crypto to stand up and to to make a difference like that. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah, we've got a really amazing evolving community. I mean, because if you look back just even 2 years ago, how many new faces that have come on board and how active they are on socials and on YouTube and new YouTube streamer. I mean, hell, Maddie, you had what 101 people on this conference
101.
that are all YouTube streamers.
Yeah.
And Fashion Coder, of course, I just saw her pop up. There's so many. I mean, it's hard to name them all, which is great.
Correct. Yeah,
But
it would
be honest,
almost
Maddie.
be sexist. It would be sexist for us to list all of the women that were on the conference because there were so many.
Maddie, be honest. How many of the women were AI though?
None. Yeah.
Maybe the next conference we'll have a bunch of AI men and women on there. That would be interesting.
I think it'll be real people.
I hope. We'll see, man. It's moving fast. Who's going to New York in October?
Yo.
I see the chat asking. I'm hoping to be able to go. We'll see.
I will not be going. I'm not gonna fly across the country to go stand on a sidewalk.
Why not?
Come on, Briz. You stood
What?
on the corner in California, like promoting Bitcoin. You can't come and support the RH ecosystem at a courthouse in New York City.
No. Maybe if we were doing Bitcoin stuff.
Well, hey, why don't you come to Bitcoin Nashville, July 25th
cool.
to 27th?
I'll be out of town. Nashville's an awesome city.
Maybe.
Yeah. Nashville is far superior to Miami, and this is where the main Bitcoin conference in the United States is going to be. I soft promised Adam Stokes that I would get the DeLorean out there. We'll see.
Have some Jack's barbecue for me in Nashville, if you would.
Oh,
it's
dude.
great. It's so good. Yeah, Jack's barbecue's legit.
They have great. They have great food in Nashville.
Yep.
I must say.
Yeah, that little strip of honky tonks is super fun too. Right there where Jack's is. It's a fun town. I like Nashville.
Crypto Stylist
Need to
in
get
the
back
chat. Shout out to her.
Another one.
She
she was great.
she talked about making more content, which is
Awesome.
that's one of the main goals of the conference. That's the ultimate dream that I have for these conferences, is that it gives people the confidence and the activation that they need to make more content. We couldn't hear from everybody enough, and there was a time limited spot for everybody, and so getting more content creators to make more content has always been the goal.
It's like an
Crypto
incubator.
Class was there.
Yeah, another one. Another brilliant woman in our ecosystem.
Yeah.
And then Drix, dude. I see Drix popping up in the chat. Dude, that song is fire. Look out.
Yo.
Good
It
stuff.
was
dude.
great, but
Good stuff.
I will say my name was misspelled and mispronounced in the
Are
song.
you kidding me?
What?
Well, he's a Brisologist.
I know.
Well,
I'm
That's all
Brisology. That's
yeah.
okay, though. I don't mind.
Well, maybe it worked better in the rhyme scheme.
I think
we
it
know who he's
was-
talking about.
I think it was to show great respect to you.
I think
All
it
right,
was
well,
too.
thank you very much.
I think
I
I might have
appreciate
heard my name in there too, but I couldn't.
And your
I gotta
great
go back and listen to it.
piece.
I just love that it didn't raise any red flags on YouTube.
Right? No copyright
Seriously,
strikes.
guys,
Yeah.
the Tangang conference got pulled off YouTube because of copyright infringement, and
Oh wow.
we want the best for all of the conferences and all of the communities and sub communities. So yeah, it's a real thing.
I think the line with me was Tobiwan dropping atom bombs, which I thought was pretty slick. I'll have to see if it can confirm for me if that was the lyric. I just heard it one time, and then I was watching other stuff, but I bookmarked it to go back and listen to it. I don't know if it's on SoundCloud or like Bandcamp or something.
So there is a YouTube channel. I am gonna publish it as a part of the Day 4 bonus content that's coming tomorrow from the main Pulse Chain conference Twitter, and I've also said that I'm gonna link to the original channel on YouTube because this song deserves many views. It's part of the immortal soundtrack of Pulse Conference 2024.
Dare I say the song of the summer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm down with that. I seriously
song.
want to download it because I want to be able to listen to that anywhere I am.
Totally. Yeah, and shout out to Drix, long time.
Hey, how did the comedy bit go? That's something I missed. How was Ben?
Oh, dude, you didn't see BitBoy?
I missed that part. Yeah.
Oh man,
that was pretty.
I was hanging in there as long as I could, and then I crashed.
See it. So just to give you an idea.
Did he do it in front of an audience?
So he like we hadn't basically agreed on like what the format would be. I said like it's his solo chance. Like it starts with him doing stand up and it ends wherever he wants it to end. Like those were the parameters. It's like an hour-long spot. Show up at this time. Like, you know, it starts with stand up, ends wherever you want. And I didn't know if he was going to show up. Literally, he wasn't there 20 minutes early. He came like only 10 minutes early. So for 10 minutes, I was panicking and I went to ChatGPT. And at that moment, they launched a new version of ChatGPT. I swear to God. They launched a new version of ChatGPT at the moment that I went there. It's called ChatGPT 4-0. Like not 0, O. Okay. And there's been like a huge buzz about this on Twitter. But last night when I was expecting that BitBoy might no show, and just like when Richard, you know, like he didn't no show, but like, you know, I had to fill a whole hour in prime time at the Hex conference in January. So I was like having flashbacks and panicking. So I told ChatGPT, I was like, hey, I need you to write something really, really like current and topical, like a whole comedy sketch about Pulse Chain and Hex. And I said, like, go do research if you have to. I want this to be up to date. Dude, it gave me the sickest jokes ever. And then BitBoy shows up, he gets on there, and he also asked ChatGPT, but he asked like, you know, the old version for some jokes. And so, yeah, I was able to like definitely lay down some good ones, but it was just, man, it was like, I was on there with him the whole time. He wanted basically a conversational style spot. And as far as I could tell, it went super well. Super well.
I was kind of wondering about that because I'm like, man, it's like if you're trying to do stand up and you don't have feedback from like an audience, it's like that's hard. That is really, really hard.
He made me laugh out loud a lot. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a can't miss part of the conference. You can't miss the Solid X Whale speaking publicly for the first time outside of Randy Hilarski's groups. You can't miss BitBoy speaking at the Pulse Chain conference. And I mean, there were other serious things happening during all times of the conference, really.
I asked ChatGPT today to tell me a raunchy joke about Richard Hart and Gary Gensler, and it said it would not do it. It wouldn't be
which version? Which version of ChatGPT?
I think 3.5.
Oof.
But I asked Grok, Elon Musk AI, and it gave me a couple jokes. It was actually kind of funny.
Well, do you want to do a showdown now?
No, I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think you'd like it.
Okay.
Let's just say it has the word guzzler in it, and I don't
Okay.
think we should do
Yeah,
it.
no, that's a forbidden word on the show.
Forbidden.
Okay, so here's some jokes that I didn't get to last night.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute.
Milestone.
Wait. We got to get prepared because you did a good
Okay.
job of laughing at his jokes. So you have to be ready to laugh. We have to laugh.
I mean,
Otherwise they don't work.
yikes.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay. Milestone humor. 1 year in crypto is like dog years. Pulse Chain is basically a teenager now. Moody, misunderstood, and convinced it knows everything.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Here's one I said last night, but it has to get repeated again because it was so good. SEC mention. I heard the SEC is still trying to serve Richard Hart. Maybe they should just stake the lawsuit for 5,555 days and get some yield out of it.
Nice. Good X tie-in.
General DeFi. DeFi is great. It's like traditional finance, but without the suits or the regulations or the stability.
Ba-dum-bum.
Liquidity pools. Explaining liquidity pools to my friends is like trying to teach a cat to swim. They just stare at me, confused and slightly wet. All right, here's for you ink farmers out there. Yield farming. Yield farming sounds so wholesome, right? But instead of growing carrots, you're growing regret tokens. Yikes. I don't know if that
even
one
being
landed with
being
this,
prepared, being pretty. Why don't you say that again? That was good
you're-
enough that we should hear it again.
Yield farming sounds so wholesome, right? But instead of
Yeah.
growing carrots, you're growing regret tokens.
Regerts? Yeah. No.
Okay.
I don't even understand the English beyond that one. So
Okay. Well,
Growing
regret.
regret.
yeah, it's YOLO at this point. Um,
go back to 7th grade because I
Let's see. The Pulse Chain community is like a family, supportive, passionate, and a little bit obsessed. If Pulse Chain was a TV show, we'd be Game of Thrones, intense, dramatic, and everyone has an opinion. It's not very funny.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
A for effort.
Oh, here's the all right. Here's the closer.
All right.
Final joke. Remember, in crypto, it's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market. Unless you're me, then it's about timing when to end this set. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, Maddie.
Like this, like dad
Grizz is just
jokes,
like-
and he's out. And he's out.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Maddie will be here.
That was all
Maddie will be
ChatGPT.
here
It went online and read 6 different articles and came back with that.
Well,
That's pretty
thank God
good.
comedians don't have anything to worry about yet. Well, at least writers don't have anything to
That's
worry
right.
about yet.
That's right.
Joke writers, that is.
But the BitBoy segment went great, and it was really really cool. I can't wait to put that clip out tomorrow.
Cool. Good stuff. So you said that you're going to drop Drix's YouTube channel, right? In your day 4 updates. Cool.
Yep, for sure.
Drix, if you've got a link, you can drop it in the chat. Good stuff, man.
I don't
Good
think Drix
stuff.
can drop links in the chat.
You can
Link
drop
it in the
bars in the chat. Yeah, definitely got to go back and watch the BitBoy bit. Any news? Anything happening else? Besides, I mean, the conference
I got
was like
news.
the highlight of the week.
I got a big one.
Oh, do you?
Did you guys
How big?
hear that the Mr. Donald Trump has endorsed cryptos.
Thanks to
Yes.
B-Roots and Funding Jim. Yes.
And rags. Yep.
And that kid wearing the sunglasses.
Yes.
I remember Trump calling them all. He's all the kid with the goggles.
Yep.
Was it?
But
was
he
it,
said he was pro. He said he was pro Bitcoin. He said that Bitcoin had a future if he was president. And so I'm just wondering what you guys think the landscape of crypto could possibly look like in the future.
So that was a meetup that Trump hosted, and you had to buy Trump cards to go. So
I
he was
bought the
speaking.
first cards and got
Yeah.
an invitation to the first meetup. This is actually the second meetup.
I got to claim a little. I got to do a little mini victory lap here. I said back when Vivek Ramaswamy was pro crypto, that because that had gotten him so much traction, and Trump being a populist, it was only a matter of time to where Trump and or his people would see that absolutely that's something that he needs to cater to.
Respect.
And here we are.
Good call.
Here we are. It's like, well, because he's a populist. It's like, I mean, it makes sense. So it's like, and as he digs into it more, and I think Cabana might have been talking about it on the conference, Maddie, about how there was like a discussion probably at the thing you're talking about with the Trump cards and what have you, where it was like 2 or 3 dozen questions that he had about crypto that people were answering for him, and that he really took an interest and seemed like engaged and like really wanting to learn more and understand it. So to me, hey, go Trump 2024.
Yeah.
So real quick right here, Pip Shinobi, here's this comment right here. It says, it's about time the U.S. caught up with the rest of the world. Actually, the U.S. is like the number one leader in crypto. Like it's kind of like I would say a misnomer thinking
Not if you're a
that
builder.
Yeah, where it's like being on the cusp
yeah,
of
no,
NASA,
especially
what I
if
mean,
you're
to
a
lose
builder.
all those crypto.
No, hold on,
readers.
wait. No, basically what happened is the America is totally taking over all of crypto, and they've set out a lot of regulations that feel anti-crypto, but what it really is, it's anti-competition. It keeps the small guys out, like the New York bit license. It keeps the small guys out, so crypto businesses can't really be created in New York. Meanwhile, you got all these crypto companies all over the stock market who can afford
That's not real crypto.
the regulations, and now they get control of all of the crypto business. So
yeah, but that's a lie.
what's a lie?
Got your keys.
It's not real crypto if you need permission.
Well, I mean, you need permission to run a business in America.
Yeah, that's why America's falling behind in crypto.
But they're not falling behind
because they're persecuting people like Richard Hart and people like myself who are builders.
What I'm saying is that they're putting on regulations to keep control of crypto. It's like China. China doesn't want to give up their manufacturing
like that, though.
China doesn't want to give up the manufacturing to cheaper countries. So what they do is they do the carbon credit, prevents factories from being built in cheaper countries, and allows China to maintain control of the manufacturing. And
it's called central plan.
Exactly, and America is doing the exact same thing with crypto.
Yeah, but it's not crypto. They're saying the word crypto, but the word in their mouth is a lie. They need to keep the name out of their mouth.
Well, I don't know. I could buy some Bitcoin off of Coinbase and have it in my wallet, and that kind of feels like I have crypto. So,
but not your keys, not crypto, not just not your crypto. It's not crypto, period, because it's a middleman paper promise. It's the same thing as we have in the banking system.
Wall Street has taken over crypto, so doesn't really.
No, they
They've
taken over the name of crypto, but we're the ones left who are actually doing crypto with our own keys. So that means we are the main people in crypto now. If we're Bitcoiners that hold our own keys, if we're Ethereans and Pulse Chainers that own our own keys, it doesn't matter if Robinhood calls itself crypto. If you don't have your own key, it's not crypto. Period.
Okay. Wall Street took over crypto, though. Just saying.
If you believe that, then you are lost. It's not real crypto. They can use the name all they want, but it's like, is having gold in real life the same thing as having a gold stock or a gold ETF? No, it's not the same. But you can't monopolize crypto. It's not logically consistent with what crypto is. You can't change the definition of what crypto is.
Right.
Can't hold the majority supply.
But it doesn't prevent them from trying. I mean, think about it. It's consolidations of power, right? It's the same thing with the energy sectors.
It doesn't matter how much they control.
It's like, but they're making efforts, and by limiting competition, for, like Briz says, the little guy, I think that's where they're losing sight of the big picture. And I think that's where Trump in particular comes into play, and why he was so open to the narrative of losing jobs overseas, of having crypto creators, because they don't want to be under the microscope of U.S. regulators, going overseas to do their thing, and then therefore what he perceives as taking profits over there with them, right? But we understand that crypto isn't like typical business, but that's neither here nor there in the point I'm trying to make, which is, if the regulations are too aggressive in the United States for the reasons I think Briz is alluding to, then you're going to lose that. It's like the what was it called, the brain drain, like after World War II. Where all like the great minds in Europe, were coming to America. It's that type of situation.
I can agree with Brisology that the United States is trying to monopolize crypto theater.
Yes.
Which is pretending to be crypto. And that is actually a super valuable insight in our understanding of like why they're doing what they're doing. So I didn't mean to take away from that point.
No, I think you both are valid. I think you both have valid perspectives on it. I feel like a marriage counselor all of a sudden. Wait a minute.
We're allowed to disagree on this show.
That's what's great about this show.
I think we agree, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I think we agree on more than we disagree on, but it's like the debates are always fruitful, I feel like, here.
Yeah. To me, it's just like, I find it funny when people are like, oh, America, they're falling so far behind in crypto, when Wall Street owns all of the crypto coins.
The crypto theater coins.
Well, they have private keys, so whatever.
Right.
It doesn't matter at this point.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between crypto that's in the hands of individuals and crypto that's in the hands of centralized middlemen that are required by law to like hold the keys for somebody else, otherwise they're committing fraud. Like that is different. Like we saw with FTX, like that's an example of where like, you weren't holding your own keys, so it wasn't your crypto, it wasn't real crypto, but like Sam had your crypto, and he was dumping it into the coffers of Anthropic so he could put hundreds of millions of dollars into their IPO, which actually returned some profit for FTX holders in the end. It's not that FTX was like unprofitable. It's that they were lying about what they were doing with the IOUs, and they were changing the denomination of the IOUs from Bitcoin and Ethereum to speculative investments and hedge fund like activities. So,
did you see Sami's tweet about RH and the proposed EU regulations in regard to where's that? Just in, Richard Hart was right again. The EU has proposed regulations to require every DeFi front-end website to implement KYC verification, unless they're using a, quote, state-authorized software program that you install on your own device. In 2023, Richard Hart made PulseChain, PulseX, Hex websites behind IPFS decentralized cloud share.
That was actually already approved a few months back, and then they realized that they couldn't enforce it, so they like repealed the law. But it actually went into law previously.
And then repealed
So I
it.
don't think that that's particularly like interesting news at this point. I can, Tobiwan, I can catch you up on what the breaking news was in the conference that we haven't covered
Please.
yet tonight.
Yes.
So 9inch launched V3 that they have been working on for months. They got it audited and they dropped it last night. That was the big deal. Not only that, they
Congratulations, Hexy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Hexy Bastard's killing it.
There was also the announcement by the 9inch team that they have forked Curve Finance to make a stable coin swapping more efficient on their platform.
Very cool.
So, yeah, that was pretty much a big deal. And then,
yes,
I got a question about that.
Yeah.
How will that work with the Flex and Earn stable coins?
I think those protocols are like somewhat related. The Curve protocol is like swapping one stablecoin for another at better rates than you can get otherwise. I know it's something that RH was asking for, or like, publicly talking about or something at one point. Yeah, so like that's a valuable thing, it seems like, for the efficiency of like the liquidity of like the stable coins and the stability of the system. Although I'm not like an expert on more than knowing that it's important, and that like, if you want to start moving hundreds of millions of dollars into Pulse Chain,
wasn't Richard working on some kind of stable swap thing?
Yeah, I think so. So there they go again at 9inch, like, leading the way. And I like the fact that that they like to get their stuff audited, especially like the V3 thing. That seems legit.
Yeah, just to reiterate something, I think I might have said it last week here. I might have said it on the conference. I really genuinely think, like, once this SEC cloud is lifted, there is going to be a flood of new functionality that you see on PulseX in particular, that is going to blow people's minds. I mean, to me, it just seems so counterintuitive to think that RH has just been sitting on his hands and like letting everyone else, take market share and not have something.
I saw a tweet. Someone said, "You think he's not cooking?"
Oh yeah, right, yeah. Like
let him cook.
Let him cook, baby. It's like, I mean, and it's cool, and it's smart. Like, if you think about it, because it's like they're all going through the trials and tribulations of how to get this stuff working and seeing what kind of what people really want, what people are going to support, and then he can polish up his versions of things and probably stuff that's not even out there yet that no one's even thought of, knowing RH. So I'm really excited to see, like, when we can kind of have him back in full force, and the reins are let go on this racehorse. Yeah.
Then you had other breaking news. The Solid Hex whale not only spoke publicly for the first time, but said, and I'm like paraphrasing here, "I live in another country, and
I remember this.
You are allowed to have expectation of profit from me." Now, that's not me saying that, and that's not financial advice, but that's what the Fire Whale said about his own token. So
Fire Whale basically said he's gonna pump his bags.
Boom. That was pretty cool. That was a pretty boss statement. We have a major announcement from Liquid Loans that, as I said, will come out in the next 24 hours. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And that's in addition to their announcement that they have Gnosis Safe working on Pulse Chain as a fork, not a carryover of what you already had, but like a new instance of the original code of Gnosis Safe that that
I think everyone has
what,
PTSD of
that's what Vitalik
Gnosis
uses.
Safe.
Well, but one whale, might want multi-sig on Pulse Chain, and that's the most audited protocol for that. So it's still a big deal, even if there's not going to be 100,000 people right off the bat who are using Gnosis Safe on a Pulse Chain. It's still a big deal that we have it now. How many instances are there of that? All the stuff that people build on Pulse Chain, I don't think they're getting that level of stuff built on Base Protocol and Solana and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but I think it's mostly shitcoins and people who are holding for one day on those other chains. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And honestly, my brain is so fried. There are probably tons of other announcements that were made, but those are the ones that stand out to me at this time.
It was chock full of good information. Definitely worth a rewatch. If you guys haven't watched all 4 days of the conference, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Wonderfully produced. The transitions between speakers I thought was fantastic.
Thank you.
Very honored to have been a part of it again. And yeah, definitely go check it out. There's parts I got to go back and revisit and parts that I missed that I'm definitely going to be checking out over the next few days. So, yeah.
Well, are you guys going to let me off 20 minutes early tonight?
20 minutes, right? That's 2 hours, bro.
We got
We're like
25.
if we stopped right
35
now.
more minutes, baby.
What, 2.5 hours? I
35.
thought this was a 2-hour gig.
It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. Is the
2:20? I'd say we give them a 20-minute break.
Yeah.
Well,
Give us all a 20-minute break. I'm beat. So
Yeah, I'm pretty much out of notes.
I think we did good. I think we cranked out a lot of good info. We're almost at 2 hours. I think that no one's gonna, complain too loudly if we peace out of here at 10:30.
I'm bullish on Toby's mic.
Yes.
Dude, I literally snapped it off
Yeah.
the freaking arm earlier. So yeah, it's like one thing, one thing after another. I fixed it. So it's just like I guess I turned it too much and it came off. But
do we
yeah,
have
me and the microphones.
Do we have any other materials to present from ChrispyMan here?
well, I just wanted to make a plug for Hex T-shirts,
Okay.
right? Because we're
Speaking of the
Thanks,
little
baby.
guy,
speaking of T-shirts, right? So we're looking right now. Let's see, where are we? Max, what's the max D? Let's look and see. All right. So today, is the how many days in July? 31 days. 31 days in July, right?
yes.
So the call to action is this: you got 1 day. Actually, might not even have a full day, right? You have 1 day to get T-shares for July of 2039. Right, so that's how far out we got, and currently out there on the Pulse Chain side, just 16,000 T-shares, guys. 16,000.
Let's go.
That's it. That's all we got for that time frame. So if you
Bargain
Right.
basement.
I mean, for listen, for the guys who are ladies who are in the 20s, early 30s, you might have 4 more Quattro Cincos in you, and it's definitely crypto and risky, blah blah blah. But if you plan on being around, man, there's only 16,000 T-shares, like 1,600 T-shares for 2039, and
At this time.
at this time, and that'll change, of course, but I think it's a big opportunity.
Yeah, I think I think if everything comes to pass that we all anticipate will, it is going to, Maddie, we're probably going to all need you as a therapist to keep us from being absolute egomaniacs, because it has been a challenge, not gonna lie, to stay positive and keep, and I don't do a fraction of what Maddie does out here or Crispy. or even Briz as far as, content. But it's challenging, I mean, we've gone through the same struggles that the rest of you have with, like, the depths of being in a bear for a long time, and to find, a positive spin on things and to keep hope alive, so to speak, has been a lot. But I tell you what, man, it's like it doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from, a genuine belief in what we support. It becomes a real passion about true DeFi, and I think we're all going to make it. And when we do, I hope that we can all remain humble, because it will be so tempting to do some dunking
when
on
the
people.
candles turn green, I get 10 times more toxic. You're going to be calling me the toxic Avenger.
You better watch out. I have
That's
some
trademarked.
announcements. So the sacrifice that I'm doing has 6 more days left. It's been opened up so you can sacrifice any amount of pulse, and
Nice.
that you can also sacrifice anything that's whitelisted on Time Pays Me, and you would send that to the sacrifice address's vault address. So the sacrifice address is using Time Pays Me, and you can send any amount of pulse, whether it's like 1 pulse or like 1 million or 1 billion or 1 trillion pulse.
Is this a different address than the beginning?
This is it's a different address that's shown on chain here, created by the sacrifice address. We can see the receipt there.
Oh, it's an address created by the sacrifice address.
Yeah. So
Okay,
it's
got it.
within the sacrifice address.
Yeah, I
there.
didn't quite get that. I had seen that you had posted some additional posts, but I didn't quite see or understand what was going on, that it was like a different address, and that was the reason. So the people who sent to you in the first place, they're all set.
They're all set. Yeah. And this is adding on more optionality to the people who haven't participated. So
Nice.
that's opening up the gates to more people. And then another thing that I announced here just in the past couple days is that there is still a free claim happening. And these links, you can find them in the chat here. But there were 515 people who have dropped a fresh wallet address, in addition to about 500 that I got before that. So there's about 1,000 people now that have claimed for this, this mysterious free claim. Over 1,000 people have posted fresh, unique addresses that are not bots.
Awesome.
So Falcon Crypto asked why it was a separate address. So initially you had given an ETH address, or not ETH address, but a Pulse Chain address where people could.
Originally, it was on the same address on Pulse Chain and Ethereum, the same ENS address. So that can all be seen here on the original post, freesign.pls.fyi and freesign.eth.
Okay. And so why the new address? Is it because
security?
So nobody has any expectations. This is for the freedom to sign, but like you would imagine, the people who weren't playing from the beginning, they're they're still able to participate now. So I mean, like, it's an address that's within the sacrifice address, so it's like it's owned and everything inside of there.
It's a way for you to segregate the information.
It's a way for people to identify that they're paying attention and that they're playing along.
But I have till the 20th, right, on the primary sacrifice address.
That's right. Correct. Yeah. So for people who don't want to do the minimum of $500 worth, like, you can now participate using this this vault address, and but the original address is still going strong.
Got it.
Cool.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. You're actually using the technology you were talking about using, which is the additional domain names, and you created a separate one because it's a different subset of people.
Yes, correct.
And that just makes it easier to track.
Yes. And it demonstrates using tools that have been created by Maddie
Maddie who?
and
Maddie?
team. Maddie and team.
The future is us.
That's right.
Oh, sorry.
Well, awesome. Well, yeah, thanks guys for another great episode. I think I dropped the link for the sacrifice here in the live stream, but now I need to do that for the free claim as well.
Cool.
And you
Good
can
stuff.
watch the conference. And where
Guys,
can people find you guys?
Go watch that video on Chat GPT-O. It's pretty amazing.
I use ChatGPT all the time.
All
Gets
the
me in
time?
trouble.
4-0.
Not every moment of the day, but I use it quite a bit.
Cool.
I'm gonna ask it for jokes about Bruce.
It won't do it. It won't do it.
Yes, it will.
You have to word it right.
No, it won't. No, it won't. It's
Mhm.
inappropriate to make jokes about Briz.
Toxic.
ChrispyMan, where can
Anyway.
people find you?
Hexfire.io, please.
Brisology, where are you?
I'm the Brisologist. You can find me on Drix Music. And come hunt me down on Twitter.
All right. Tobiwan?
I am on X at Tobiwan_Hexobi, and then here on Tuesday evenings with these wonderful gentlemen, and then on Thursday afternoons at 4:45 p.m. Eastern on What the Hex with DJ Cryptomatic and Papa B for TA with Tobiwan. So come check it out.
Awesome. Thanks to all the 101 speakers from the conference, and look out for more updates coming on the Twitter as we roll out the clips from day 4. Until next time, stake wisely, my friends. Peace out.
Stake wisely.
And no jokes about Briz.
Briz is the Briz, the Briz, the Briz.
Biz with Briz.